Alright. And 3, 2. Welcome back to Podcast Recovery, everyone. We're your hosts, David O.
And Carly R.
Today we're joined by our very special guest, Tim L. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Just celebrated 1 year in 1 week.
I know, that's fucking awesome.
It's incredible.
And yeah, for anybody who's listening, he caught us through Instagram and we found out he lived 30 minutes away.
Not even.
Up in Towson, we're in Catonsville, and yeah. So he's in studio with us, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, this is great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Building the Podcast Recovery Network. So where are you from?
I'm from Baltimore County. I was born and raised. Towson, Parkville area. I lived up in Hartford County for a couple of years. We had a nice farm up there, but I was born and raised in Baltimore County. So I left for a little bit and then moved back.
Yep. Oh, we always come back. And when were you first introduced to recovery?
March 5th, 2021. I've always known about it, obviously, but I never had the ability or want or the ambition to pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
But it got to the point where it was out of my control anymore. I could no longer handle it.
Yeah.
And I decided it was time.
Yep. And you just celebrated your first year sober.
Yes, I did.
Woo! Congratulations.
Amazing.
Dude, that's awesome.
Couldn't believe I could even go 1 day, much less a year.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that's happened this past year has been a miracle. It really has.
Yeah.
Every day something awesome happens, or I'm just reminded of how special this gift of sobriety is.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. Well, we're going to turn it over to you to share your story with us, so take it away, man.
Yeah, so, I grew up in a pretty much normal family. My father was a police officer. My mom was a vice president of his big company. My father did leave when I was 7 years old, and that took a toll on me for a very long time, because as a small child, I thought it was my fault that my father left. Mm. And that actually stuck with me up until I'm 45. It stuck with me up until a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. That I was like, well, my brother's 10 years older than me. He stuck around until he was in high school. Why did he leave when I was in first grade? Did I cause the divorce? Did I had something to do with the reason my mom and dad split up? It wasn't until this past couple of years that I finally started digging deeper and looking at, I had zero to do with it. Mm-hmm. My dad was an egotistical, selfish person.
Yep. He
liked other women. My mom didn't want to take care of, she couldn't handle that.
Yep.
That was the reason they got a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
But as a small kid, when you're 6, 7, 8 years old, you don't know that stuff.
You don't understand that.
And there was plenty of times where he would be like, I'm coming to pick you up for the weekend. Let's go do something. Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't come.
Yeah.
And I would sit at the front door with my bags packed and wonder why my dad is not coming to pick me up. Mm-hmm. Did he not love me? Did he not want me? And that really, I used that as a crutch to drink and drug. Mm-hmm. I really did. I was like, well, my dad doesn't love me, and I'll just get drunk or get high. And
dude, yeah,
that lasted for 30 years. It really did.
Oh, it's the same story.
Yeah, it really did. But and my mom did the best she could. She worked 2-3 jobs. She put herself through college. She got a master's degree, and she really did what she had to do to support me. I played baseball, football. I was almost a professional skateboarder at one point.
Nice.
I grew up with Brandon Novak and Bucky Lasik. And,
oh, shit.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I grew up with those guys, and we all skateboarded together. Brandon got me into rehab.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so, but I grew up with those guys. I was a junior Olympic boxer.
Get Novak on the podcast.
Yeah. He's not too far away. He's in Philly.
Nice.
So I grew up always playing sports. Mm-hmm. 9th grade, we had a freshman welcoming high school party. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time I ever tried alcohol. And I got so sick.
What was your first drink?
Colt 45 malt liquor.
That's about right. Yeah, that's a Baltimore area drink right there.
Because we were all, 15, 14,
yeah,
maybe.
It was cheap.
And we knew a bunch of 21-year-olds from the city.
Yep.
They showed up with 10 cases of Schlitz and Colt 45. And we all got so drunk. The next day I was so sick. And my mom knew what I did.
Yeah.
And her punishment, we were having a summer party. It was right before, after spring break. And she made me shuck like 50 ears of corn for this party. She goes, I don't care if you're going to be sick. She's like, here's a bag for you. You're shucking all these corn. So that was my...
I love shucking corn.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
but
cool.
I didn't touch drink or drug again until senior year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And my senior year of high school, I was like, you know what? I've been doing good in school. I'm going to enjoy a beer, and started smoking pot. Mm-hmm. And then one thing led to another. It wasn't just drinking on Fridays. It became Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes we would cut school during the day, go get high, go drink some beer. And then that just ended up being a routine.
Yep.
I stopped skateboarding. I stopped doing football, I stopped boxing. And I started hanging around everybody that just partied and had fun and cut school. And at the end of my senior year, I was smoking pot. I was doing acid, doing PCP, pain medicine, and drinking all on top of everything. And we're about to graduate, and I'm like, man, my grades went downhill. I can't get into college. A lot of my friends started turning into heroin and cocaine.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do that. I was scaring myself at that point already. So I was like, you know what, I'm joining the military. What
was your deterrent? Like, because heroin for me, I was like, I knew I would like it, and that's what scared me away from it.
100%.
Yep. I'd done pain pills, and I was like, I love these. If heroin's anything like this, I'm gonna fucking love it, and I will die.
Luckily, there was something inside of me that said, don't do it, because that would be the end all.
Yep.
Like I sold pot in high school, and the guy I got pot from was like, here, sell this, and he gave me 10 bags of cocaine, and I'm like, what am I doing with this? I don't know anybody that wants this.
Yeah.
He's like, just give it to them. They'll come back for it. I was like, dude, I'm not doing that. I always had some stigma about that, and I never wanted to press into it. Mm-hmm. So I always shied myself away. And I always had this thing in the back of my head, like, if I do cocaine, my heart's going to explode. So it just, I don't know. At 18 years old, it just scared me away. So I'm actually glad it did, because, wow, what a journey that would have been on if I would have got into that.
Yep.
So, but, so senior year, I went into the Marine Corps, and that's when my alcoholism really spiked. I stopped doing drugs, obviously, to get in, but man, when we got off, that's all we did was drink. Went to the strip clubs, went and got tattoos, went to the cat houses, and we hung out and we drank until we either passed out, got into a fight, or got locked up.
Were you here the whole time?
I was actually stationed in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I went down to North Carolina and Jacksonville, and that's where I was stationed. And literally,
so many vets in North Carolina. It is the vet state.
Outside of the base is titty clubs, tattoo parlors, bars, and church. And they're like stacked like that. I'm like, I look back at it now, I'm like, that's pretty funny, but it's also like, did they purposely make it like that?
Oh yeah, of course.
Get all your sins in.
Those businesses can't count their cash fast enough.
Right. Get all your sins in at the end of the week, go to church, and then start back over the next week. But no, that's when my alcoholism really escalated, was in the Marines. We were 18, 19, 20 years old, and the bars around the bases, their motto was, if you could take a bullet for this country, you can enjoy a cold beer. Yeah. So they didn't care if you were 18, 19, or 20.
I agree with that.
I think that's fair.
I think that's 100% fair.
And the rule was, you can't just stand there with your beer. You have to put it on the table in case somebody would walk in.
Oh.
So you can take a drink and then put it back down on the table, but you can't be standing there holding it if you're 18, 19, 20 years old, because they didn't want the bar to get in trouble.
That's slick.
But they did allow you to drink, because if you could die for this country, you can have a cold beer. So they didn't de-escalate the drinking for 18, 19, and 20 years old. They actually encouraged it. And we would see our sergeants and stuff out in the bars, and they would just be like, just as long as you're up at 3 a.m. to go running for 3 miles, we don't care what you're doing. Yeah. And that's what we did. We would drink till 2 o'clock, go back to the barracks, sleep for maybe an hour, if sleep, and then be running 3 miles at 3:30 in the morning. Most of us throwing up during the run. 100%. But we kind of was like, oh, this is a badge of honor. We're doing it. We're 18, 19, 20 years old, and they kind of expected it from us. So we're really getting into what we're supposed to be doing. And I was infantry, so we were like the hard ones of the Marine Corps.
You're the grunts.
Our life expectancy in war is 3 seconds. Oh. So I was like, if I was going to do it, I'm going to go all in. Yeah. And that's my addictive personality. Because if I do something, it's 100 miles an hour. Yeah. There's no half-assing it. I'm going all in. And that's how I approached everything, even throughout my whole life. When I did sports, I excelled at all my sports. You know, I didn't want to do it just to be part of the team. I wanted to be the captain.
Yeah.
I wanted to be one of the leaders of the team. And so that's how it always went. And I get out of the Marine Corps at 21, and I realized I wasn't in the service anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And
so were you out before like 9/11 and everything?
oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I got out in '96.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was way out
Yeah.
from that. But I got out.
We apologize to our listeners for the dogs. Anyway, you get out.
I get out, and my depression set in. So I'm gonna backtrack a tiny. At 14, I was diagnosed with bipolar.
Okay.
Okay. So, but I never told the Marines I had bipolar, or else I wouldn't have been able to get in.
Yep.
So the whole time I was in the Marines, I wasn't on medicine to treat my bipolar, which actually helped because I was in a manic mode for 3 years.
Oh.
I was up going 100 miles an hour for 3 years.
Yeah.
So when I got out and came home, I crashed so hard that I couldn't handle it. Mm-hmm. And at 21, I found myself in my bedroom with my stepfather's gun in my lap. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know how to handle not being in the service anymore. Luckily, at that time, I had a girlfriend, and I called her and I said, this is what I'm doing. And she came over and helped me put it away, and we talked. I didn't tell my mom I had the gun in my hand, but I told her I needed help. Yeah. So I started going to see psychiatrists and therapists and then get back on my bipolar medicine. But as the addict that I am, I would take the medicine for 2-3 months. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling great. I'm going to stop taking it now. And the whole time drinking, smoking pot. And now that I'm sober and I'm on my medicine properly, it works because I have no alcohol and drugs in my system. Mm. Go figure that it actually works when you don't have drugs and alcohol in your system.
And they even have a little, I think, advisory on there. Don't take with alcohol.
Alcohol may intensify effect.
That's just a suggestion.
Right. Take one every 4 hours. You mean 4 every 1 hour? Oh, I don't. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So in my 20s, you know, I did go through my depression. I met my wife, whom I actually went to middle school and high school with, but we were just friends. I just grew up with her. Mm-hmm. At 23, we had our first daughter, and I had a good job. I worked for 84 Lumber. I was a co-manager. Nice. We bought a house. My drinking was primarily Thursday and Friday and Saturday. But again, when I drank, it wasn't just 1 or 2 beers. It was 6 to 12.
Yep.
It was until I passed out or threw up. Mm-hmm. But I had it under control, so I thought that I could only drink 3 days a week, and Sunday through Thursday I was working. And
you had to get 7 days worth of drinking in.
Right. Yep. You know what I mean? I go to work, I pay my bills, I can have a beer Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Mm-hmm. And then we had our second daughter, and we bought a farm up in Hartford County, and the bills were getting out of control, and I was losing jobs. I couldn't hold on to a job more than 6 months. I'm 45 this year. I've had 46 jobs since being out of the Marine Corps.
Holy shit.
Out of here. Oh my God.
And that's all due to alcoholism and bipolar. Because I'd go in 100 miles an hour, and after a month or two would lose interest and just start calling out or quitting. And I didn't really correlate that until this past year of sobriety, that it all had to do with my mental illness and my addiction. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've had 46 jobs, and it got really bad. I drank like that for about 12 years. Mm-hmm. Like just pass out, throw up, not remember things. And 4 years ago, March 16th, 2017, maybe coming up 5 years. Wow, next month or next week. I'm driving through Loch Raven Reservoir, and I'm crying, and I'm banging my steering wheel, and I'm yelling to the sky, please give me a sign that I'm not alone. You know, I feel like a piece of shit father, husband, son. You know, what is my purpose? Why am I even here? I can't stop drinking. I can't stop taking pain medicine. You know, I just need a sign that I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. And I go driving through Loch Raven, and in 1996, my best friend lost control of his vehicle and hit a tree in Loch Raven and lost his life at 19. And they have a little vigil on the tree. They got a book you can write to him. You can put flowers there, and they got a picture of him on the tree. And I go around to the tree, and I stop, and I get out of my vehicle. I'm like, Bill, I was like, I need help. I need something that tells me that I'm not alone, that somebody's watching over me. I can't do this anymore. You know, I don't know what to do. And I stayed there for about 10 minutes, and I go to leave out of the park, and instead of parking on the right-hand side as I'm driving out, I pull over to the left-hand side facing oncoming traffic. And I sit there for like 10 minutes. I'm like bawling my eyes out there. I can't even see. My eyes are all puffy. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And this truck pulls up. And I watch the man get out of his truck. And he gets his dog. And he's about to go walk over by the water. And I'm looking at the man, and I'm like, holy shit. It was my friend's Bill who'd passed away. It was his father.
Oh, wow.
I hadn't seen him since 1996, since the day of the funeral. So I get out. I'm like, Mr. Bill? And he's like, Timmy? I'm like, yeah. He's like, what's wrong? And I just fall down to the curb, and I start crying. I'm telling him I'm an alcoholic. You know, I'm a drug addict. I can't stop. I don't know what my purpose is. And he comes over to me, and he puts his hand on my shoulder. And he says, Timmy, I'm not even supposed to be here this morning. He's like, my wife came to me in a dream last night and told me to come here at 10 a.m. this morning to walk the dog. He's like, my bag's already packed. I should have left for Myrtle Beach last night. Mm-hmm. He said, but I had that dream, and I came here this morning at the exact time that you're sitting here. Mm-hmm. And I said, Mr. Bill, I just stopped at Billy's tree and asked him to send me a sign that I wasn't alone. And we just hugged, and he's like, everything's going to be all right. And I left there. And for the next 4 years, I drank the most I've ever drank in my life. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like, I didn't take it as a wake-up sign. I took it as if I had a free pass to drink because now I know somebody's watching over me and I'm going to be okay. That was my addictive personality stepping in. Well, I got somebody watching over me. I'm going to be good. Nothing's going to happen to me, so let's go all in. Yeah. So for the next 4 years, I drank and used pain medicine over and over and over again. And 2 years ago, I couldn't do it anymore. And I took 18 Percocets and drank 12 beers. And I laid in the bed and I said, please don't let me wake up tomorrow. I said, I don't want to live the pain anymore. I can't stop. And I woke up.
Yep.
I went right into the bathroom. I poured all the pain medicine down the toilet, and I haven't touched pain medicine since. I just completely stopped. Mm-hmm. I was sick as a dog for like 5 days.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like the flu, but times 10. I was completely sick.
Yep.
But I didn't stop drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped drinking beer, and I was still looking for that extra oomph that the pill and the alcohol did.
Yeah.
So I switched to Fireball whiskey.
Oh.
Because that, to me, was immediate.
Yeah.
I could do a couple shots and have that warm blanket feeling that I always was looking for come over my body, that euphoria.
Yep.
And I was drinking 25 miniatures a day. Okay, I would buy a sleeve of 10 and have that done by 12 or 1 o'clock, and then go back and get another sleeve.
Yeah.
And my addict mindset would tell me, don't buy a big bottle, because then I'll know.
You'd be saving money. What are you doing?
I would know exactly how much I was drinking, and I didn't want to admit to myself I was drinking that much.
Okay.
So with the miniatures, I could drink them, throw them away, and forget how much I drank, and still grab some. And I would hide them all over the house. So I'd forget where I was hiding them. And I'd be like, man, I knew I had 4 more. I better go to the store and get 4 more.
Yeah.
And that was continuous for about 18 months. I was drinking 20 to 25 a day. Started affecting my job. I became a completely different person at home. Mm-hmm. Angry, irritable, nasty, short-tempered. Luckily, thank God, I was never physically abusive. But I sure as hell was verbally abusive and mentally abusive to my family. Mm-hmm. And that has weighed on me. Over time, it's going to get better, but it definitely has weighed on me. And last year, I got a new truck, and I was driving to the liquor store, and I hit something. I still, to this day, don't know what I hit. I don't know if it was a street sign or another car. But I get home, and I'm like, I'm going to bed. I just hit something with my truck. And I go to sleep, and I wake up the next morning, and I'm like, I'm going to go get milk and water. And my wife's like, how are you going to do that? I was like, in my new truck in the driveway. She goes, go look at your truck. So I go outside. My right passenger tire's hanging off. My side mirror's hanging off. And I'm in the driveway, and I'm looking, and she peeks her head out, and she goes, you have no idea what you hit, do you? I said, no, I don't. She's like, Tim, something's got to stop. She said, and I don't want you here. You got to go figure this out.
Yeah.
So I called AAA. They came and switched my tire over. And I called my buddy. I'm like, hey, my wife doesn't want me here. I got to leave. Can I come stay at your house for a little bit? And he said, yeah, sure. So I drive to his house, and his solution was, well, you're already kicked out of the house. Might as well go to the bar. So I'm like, okay, well, let's go to the bar then.
Yeah.
So we go to the bar, and we get shit-faced, and I'm leaving the bar, and I rear-end somebody at the red light.
Oh, God.
The next day.
Oh, God.
And I get out, and I look at the guy. I'm like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I was like, the back of your car is okay. My bumper was messed up.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you're okay? Your car's okay? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, buddy. And I slapped him on his back, and I took off.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I was drunk. I was like, I'm going to jail. My car's getting impounded. Like, I took off, and I left.
Mm-hmm.
I get back to my buddy's house. I'm like, dude, I can't stay here. I was like, I got to go figure this out on my own. So I leave his house, stop at the liquor store, get more Fireball, and I go and sit at White Marsh Park and Ride in my truck for 2 days.
Oh, my God.
I turn off my phone, listen to the saddest ass music I could find.
Yep.
I did the whole pitiful woe is me thing for 48 hours. You know, I'm a piece of shit. I shouldn't be here. You know, my kids will be better off without me. My wife will be better off without me, thinking about everything and all the people I've disappointed and let down. And I turned my phone on March 5, 7 after 10 in the morning, after 2 days of being off, and I turn it on. 2 minutes later, Brandon Novak calls me. Lodging, what the fuck are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm in my truck, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm drunk. Good, motherfucker, that's what you need.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I just got off the phone with your wife and your mom. We have a plane ticket set for you this evening at leave at 8:30 to go down to Banyan Treatment Centers in West Palm Beach, Florida. He's like, I want you to get on that plane. He goes, and I promise you, everything that you've lost, you'll get back 10 times fold. He said, just get on that plane. I love you. I'm proud of you. Go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And hangs up the phone. And 20 minutes go by, I guess, maybe. My wife calls me. She said, hey, I just got off the phone with Brandon. Can you please come home, take a shower, try to eat something, and try to take a nap? Because it was like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so I had some time. I said, okay. So I go home. I couldn't eat. Like, I've been drinking for 2 days. And now my nerves are through the roof because I got to go to rehab. I'm thinking about all this stuff in my head, so I couldn't eat. Took a shower, packed my bags, and I laid on the side of the bed. And I just sat there, and I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I was like, I just want the pain to stop. And I go downstairs to the basement, and I stand on a bucket, and I put a rope around my neck. And I guess like 2 or 3 minutes go by, and my wife comes down in the basement. She sees me in the corner, standing on a bucket with a rope around my neck. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I can't do this. I said, I just want the pain to stop. I don't know how to stop. And she said, please get down. Do you know what this will do to your children? You can go get help. Just please get down and get on that plane this evening. So I get down, and I fall to the floor, and I'm like crying for like 10 minutes. And I go upstairs, and I call Brandon, and I'm like, hey, I'm ready. I was like, if I don't go, I'm going to kill myself. Mm-hmm. And he just says, I'm proud of you. I love you. Call me when you get past security and let me know you're getting on that plane, because I don't want you to get to the airport, get dropped off, and catch a taxi and bolt out.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. So I get to the airport. My mom drops me off, get past security, and I call him. I'm like, hey, I'm past security. I got 30 minutes for the plane leaves. And again, all he says is, I love you. I'm proud of you. And he hangs up the phone. I go to sit down, and I sit down in the chair, and this overwhelming feeling of hope comes over my entire body. Mm-hmm. It was like the warm blanket feeling that we get from drugs and alcohol. Yep. And something in my head said, everything is going to be all right. At that moment, all my anxiety went away. My worries went away. All this weight got lifted off my shoulders. I experienced something that was so powerful that if I was not to acknowledge that, what a shame that would have been, because that came from a higher power. Mm-hmm. I can't explain it.
Yep.
It was just an overwhelming feeling. When I got to rehab, I went in addict mode into sobriety. I went 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I didn't miss any meetings.
You wanted to be the captain of the recovery team, man.
I did all the homework. I did all the journaling.
Yep.
I actually went to extra meetings for military members that had served.
Oh, nice.
I did everything that I could have, and I fully accepted this new journey of sobriety into my life, and I have not looked back since. I spoke last night at a meeting, and I thought, this is life and death for me. This isn't a game.
Yep.
I cannot fathom drinking again, because once I do, I'm going to try to make up for all the time I've had sober, and it's going to kill me.
Yep.
It's going to take my life.
Yep.
And I'll lose everything that I love so much. It's a miracle that I'm alive. It truly is. And I wake up every day thanking my higher power that he's given me a second chance in life, a chance to be a better father, husband, son, and friend, another day of sobriety. And I ask him when I go to sleep at night, help me to reach as many people as possible suffering from mental illness and addiction, so that they know they're not alone.
Yep.
They can recover, and they can live the lives your higher powers always wanted them to live. That's why I do these podcasts. I want to share. I used out loud, so I'm going to share out loud.
Yeah. Fucking A, man.
I want everybody to hear my story, because you never know who's listening.
Yeah.
And like we spoke a little bit beforehand, I got that text from a guy in Switzerland saying that I saved them on the podcast. 1 week after my very first podcast, I get this phone call. I'm actually waiting at a guy's house to pick up a table to take to Brandon Novak's recovery house in Wilmington, Delaware. And the phone rings. He's like, is this Tim? And I'm like, yeah, this is Tim. He's like, hey, this is Tony. And I'm like, who the hell's Tony? I'm thinking, only Tony I knew was from the Marine Corps 24 years ago. I'm like, Tony from the Marines? He's like, yeah, man. I was like, what's up?
Yeah.
He's like, man, I just want to let you know I just listened to your podcast. And he's like, I've been addicted to pain medicine for 18 years. He's like, and he's giving me hope to stop. He's like, I listened to it 4 days ago. He goes, I'm 4 days sober.
Nice.
He goes, I don't want to live this life anymore. He goes, and I just want to let you know that I listened to your message and it stuck with me. I just spoke to him. Today's Sunday. I spoke to him on Tuesday. He's got 67 days sober.
Awesome.
If I wouldn't have done that podcast, he lives in Ohio.
Yep.
He never would have heard my story. It never would have reached him.
Yeah.
And that's why I love doing these podcasts so much, because the audience that you can reach is so vast. You never know who's listening at the exact time that you're doing the podcast. You never know what your message could do for that person.
Yeah.
It's truly amazing that I'm sitting here a year later being able to share my story on these podcasts to anybody out there that needs to hear the message of hope and recovery.
Isn't that like, that's always been like sort of my own shot of hope, is like, because I had such a low like self-esteem. Now I'm in recovery and people are asking me for my like strength and hope and like my message, and it's like, do you know who the fuck I am?
Right.
I was a piece of shit, and now like I get to be on the complete opposite end. Like, it's so humbling to like get that opportunity. And like every time I share at a meeting, I say just how grateful I am, because you can't even imagine that you like a year and 10 days ago, could you have imagined you were here?
Dude, I was just trying to get through rehab.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I got 32 days here. Just let me make it to tomorrow.
Yeah.
You couldn't have told me I would be on podcast sharing my story.
No.
I would have been like, dude, go piss up a tree.
Yeah.
Like, just don't even talk to me about that. I just want to get through rehab.
Yeah.
And I just want to do my 90. It was first when they first said do 90. I'm like, how the hell am I going to do 90?
Yeah, I can't get 90 minutes.
Right. The guy's like, did you drink every day? I'm like, yeah. He said, how long? I said, probably, time I got off till time I went to bed. He's like, 4 or 5 hours a day. I was like, yeah. He goes, you don't have an hour for your sobriety? I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I was like, you got me.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I do.
Yep.
I do. So I ended up doing 98 and 90, actually, because I went to extra ones. And then I started looking for that balance in life.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
Because I was going 7 days a week, sometimes 2 on Saturdays, sometimes 2 on Sunday. And I started getting back into the gym. I started reading more. And I wanted to look for that balance, mind, body, and spirit. So I had to go to work. I want to go to the gym. I want to come home and spend time with my family.
Absolutely.
So I was like, you know what? Instead of going 7 days a week, let me cut it down to 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now I cut it down to 3. I go one Saturday and 2 on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of is like Saturday ends my week and Sunday gets me ready for the week. It's kind of like a recharge right in the middle.
Yep.
And during the week, it allows me to go to work, go to the gym every day, and then come home and spend time with my family.
Yep.
You know, when I was drinking and I'd walk in the door, the house would scatter, like lights coming on and roaches leaving.
Yep.
And I was always like, well, nobody's here to bother me now. I can just sit here and drink and watch TV or play a video game and just have me time.
Yep.
I never realized until a couple months ago that my kids were scared of me. They didn't know what dad was walking in their front door. Was I happy, silly? Was I irritable, angry, nasty? So they would all just leave. Now I come home, we all hang out together. We watch movies together. We play. We tell each other about our day. It's a completely different atmosphere at my home. My wife will tell you now, she has to pull teeth for me to argue. Like, I just don't want I just want it so peaceful in my house. I want it drama free. If something comes up now, I deal with the situation at hand and I get it done.
Yep.
Before I'd let that tiny snowball at the top of the mountain become so big it took a house out. Now I just pick up that snowball and crush it and take care of the situation. And that has allowed me to become a better person all the way around. You know, there's being sober and there's living in recovery.
Yep. And
you can be a miserable ass person being sober, but living in recovery truly teaches you the steps on how to be a better human being. And like I said, finding that balance between mind, body, and spirit really has changed me over and over. I'm 45 and I'm competing in a bodybuilding show in June.
Nice.
I've always wanted to do it, but alcohol and drugs have always gotten in my way.
Yeah.
My mom was a professional bodybuilder when I was 10 years old.
Really?
Yeah, for 10 years.
That's awesome.
In the 80s, and it was unheard of in the 80s.
Yeah.
And she was one of the top ones. She was in magazines. I mean, I had Mr. Olympia stay at my house. My uncle was Mr. Universe.
That's crazy.
For 7 years in a row. His son, my cousin, was Mr. Maryland. So it's ran in the family. But I've never fully fulfilled that by focusing and doing what I had to do. And now that I'm sober, man, I have this drive I've never had before in my life.
Yeah.
I really do. I have found my purpose and I'm coming after it. I'm coming after everything that alcohol promised and took from me. I'm coming for it all.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Well, we definitely have some questions for you. I want to start with, okay, if you, sitting in this chair, had gone to that White Marsh park and ride and talked to yourself a year ago, would you have listened?
No.
Why not?
Because I wasn't ready. I didn't accept that I'd become powerless over alcohol and my life become unmanageable.
Yep.
I didn't want to hear it.
Yep.
I didn't want to hear anything that anybody had to say. I thought I knew it all. Now that I'm 1 year sober, I realize I didn't know shit.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I just wouldn't have listened. Brandon came to my house 3 years earlier to try to talk to me. When he had 2 years sober, he's coming up on 7.
Nice.
And I was sitting there drinking a beer in front of my family. He's like, I can send you right now. I can send you right now. I was like, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to hear it.
Yep.
Wasn't ready.
Yep.
My higher power thought I needed that extra 4 years to live in hell to start living in heaven.
Yep.
That was my journey. That was my story is 27 years long. That's what I had to go to finally be able to accept what he's truly given me and be grateful for everything that he has for me.
Love it. What you got, Carly?
All right. So you're all in all the time kind of attitude. How do you think that's benefiting you in recovery, while also possibly do you think it's hurting you at all?
Yes and yes. It's benefiting because it gives me a drive. It gives me a goal to set, and it keeps my mind focused and doesn't allow it to wander, to think about other things that could possibly bring me down. But then again, it reminds me that I am still an addict, and I'll always be an addict, because that is an addictive mindset.
Yep.
It's 100% all the time, and I try to back it down. Like, I've gone to the gym every day for the last 21 days straight. And finally last week I was like, you got to take a couple of days off. Like, you're not benefiting yourself at this point. You need to take a couple of days of rest and just relax at the house. And that was so hard for me, just to come home after work and do the dishes and clean up the house and just watch TV. I'm like, looking at I'm like, man, I had to do something. And then I had to remind myself, your addictive personality is kicking in. Go read a book, go do something else, try to calm yourself down, try to become balanced. And that has been a big thing for me, is because I am, even though I'm on my medicine for bipolar, my mindset is still go, 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 go. And if they didn't give me something, if they didn't give me Seroquel to sleep at night, I wouldn't be able to sleep. Because my mindset's always thinking. I'm always thinking. Thinking about next day, the next day, the next day. So yes, it's like having bipolar. I like it and I don't like it. Because when I need it...
That's a bipolar answer.
It's like I can switch it on and really get what I need to do. And sometimes I can't switch it off, which becomes the problem. It becomes too much and overwhelming at some point. So being in recovery and learning the steps and the traditions has helped me to utilize that and try to balance that mindset.
Oh, yeah. All right. So you said you have kids and now a grandkid.
Yeah.
So how have you, because studies show like it's potentially a genetic thing and it runs in families, blah, blah, blah. So how are you addressing that with your kids to sort of educate them on the dangers of addiction?
My oldest, she actually was diagnosed with bipolar when she was in her teens. And she drinks, she smokes pot, but it hasn't become an issue. And, she's seen the worst of her father. She's 23. I drank for 27 years. She's seen it all.
Yeah.
My middle and my youngest, who's 14 and 10, I mean, I guess they've seen it all too, because I've been drinking since they've been alive too. But my 23-year-old understands more of what I've done. And in my addiction, we barely had a relationship. We really did. It took her 9 months of my sobriety before she even spoke to me.
Yeah.
And she lives upstairs in my house. She'd come in and just go right up the steps. She wouldn't even look at me. And, when I got home from rehab, I was like, man, I want to talk to my daughter. And my wife's like, Tim, you drank for 27 years. Just because you went to 32-day inpatient program doesn't mean your daughter's going to talk to you. Give it time. At that 9-month mark, I pick up my phone and there's a text message from her. She said, Dad, I just want to let you know I'm proud of you and I love you. Thank you for giving me the time to heal, because I know you were healing as well, but I just wanted you to know that I love you and I'm proud of you and thank you.
Yeah.
Dude, I cried for like 15 minutes. That was like the biggest, one of the biggest gifts I've received in sobriety. 2 weeks ago, she called me and sent me a text message of this 2 pages of this book. And she's reading on addiction. She's reading on, it's not a Al-Anon book or something, but it's people who deal with members in addiction and how they live their life and their mindset. And she highlighted a couple things and she's like, I think I'm beginning to understand you. So she's taking it upon herself to educate herself about addiction.
Nice.
Which I thought was really cool. You know what I mean? My middle and my youngest, man, they were like, they accepted me right back. They were happy for me to be home. My middle daughter's kind of jealous because the followers I have on Instagram. And I'm like, that's cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we have that bond. My youngest could care less. She just likes playing with her baby doll still and watching Siren Head.
I don't even know what
no
that
idea
is.
what that is.
It is awful. It's annoying and awful.
Most children's programming is awful.
It's just so weird. So she's still in her little child mode, but they're very accepting of their new father. Yeah. Because I'm a completely different person. Completely different. Awesome. So, but they now go to meetings. They ask me how about meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Last night I was dressed. They're like, where are you going? It's 8 o'clock at night. I said, I'm going to 8:30 meeting. Like, okay, have fun. Love you. So they're aware that I'm going to meetings. They're aware that I read books about alcoholism and drug addiction and recovery. So I don't shy it away. I want them to know.
Absolutely. Yep. What you got?
So in recovery, so you're managing your alcoholism, but how are you managing now your bipolar disorder and your depression?
Oh, you stole my question.
That's a good one.
Suck
Good job.
In rehab, they had us speak with psychiatrists and psychologists and doctors, and we went down the gambit of medicines that I've been on for the last 20-some years. And the only one for me that ever kept working, or the longest one that I've been on, was Lexapro. And they were like, well, let's get you back on that, and we'll start you with 5 milligrams, it's the lowest. And they said, what about sleeping? I was like, I can't sleep. I was like, if I wake up, a song starts playing in my head, or I start thinking about the next day or what I got to do. So like, okay, well, let's get you on Seroquel. It's actually an antipsychotic medicine, but it helps you to sleep at night. It stops the racing thoughts that I have. And they started me with that. And it was kind of good because I had the 32 days in rehab with the counseling and the doctors right there to establish what was working good for me. So it was all hands on, and I would meet with them twice a week, an hour at a time, and they would, is this working for you? What's happening, psychologically? How you sleeping? How you feeling? So they were able to dial it in to what I actually needed to do. And now it's a year and 10 days, and I can honestly say I have never felt this good. And it's because I have no drugs and alcohol in my system that the medicine is actually allowed to do what it's designed to do. I never did that because I was always drinking or drugging.
Yeah.
And so that's why they were really changing the milligrams, because they couldn't figure out why it wasn't working.
Yeah.
Well, I was never telling them I was drinking and drugging.
Yeah.
So, well, let's try this. They had me on 1,600 milligrams of lithium at one point.
Oh, wow.
I was a walking zombie.
Yeah.
I was a walking zombie. My wife was like, you don't smile, you don't laugh, you don't cry. She's like, I had no idea who the hell you are. I mean, they were loading me with all different types of medicines. And if I just wouldn't have been ashamed, and if I was ready at that point to tell them, I could have got help sooner. But again, I wasn't ready until this past year to get the help that I truly needed.
Yeah. And I actually want to piggyback off that question. How do we break the stigma of and accept mental health and mental health help? Because you're a guy's guy. Like you're going for a bodybuilding competition in however many months. And you're an ex-Marine. A lot of men, we have problems really going to therapy, admitting that we need help, accepting help. So how do we sort of break that stigma and at least relate to other men that it's okay, and women? It's not just a male thing.
No, that was very hard for me. My ego had to be suppressed. I had to put my ego aside.
Yep.
Because I've always had a big ego, and I had to tell myself that it was okay.
Yeah.
I had to tell myself, don't be ashamed of this. When you're standing on a bucket with a rope around your neck and you've lost all hope, and something comes to you and says everything's going to be all right, your perspective of life changes. You are more open to accept any help necessary. And that's when I truly opened my mind and my heart and my soul to, I will do whatever is necessary to get sober and to keep it. If I need to speak to somebody to get the help that I need, then that's what I'm going to do. But it was that switch in my brain that finally said, it's okay, let it go, and let's start dealing with what brought you here. Let's get to the source of why you drank and drugged. Don't put a Band-Aid on a bullet hole wound. Let's fix the bullet hole wound and get to the source of why you started drinking and drugging. And if you need to speak to somebody, that's okay. Now that I do that, I finally realize that it takes more courage to speak to somebody and tell them what's going on than it is to hold it in. Because all you're doing is that volcano is blowing until it erupts.
Yeah, running is easy.
It is. You're more brave and more courageous for telling somebody what's going on and getting it out there, because in the end it makes you a better person all the way around, and you don't have that pent up, that anger, that angst, that depression, anxiety. And it's like it's like everything gets released.
Mm-hmm.
You become peaceful,
Yep.
content.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything. It sounds kind of corny, but just everything is so mellow now.
Yep.
You know, I have no
I know.
angst. No, I'm
Yeah.
just like, I get to wake up today, and whatever today brings, it's awesome.
And like that was an adjustment period for like my recovery as well, because we're used to chaos. Like we live in chaos for so long that just like a normal day, just like you said, going to work, coming home, seeing your wife and kids, like it takes adjustment to be like, oh, this is life. Like this is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like, it doesn't have to be peaks and valleys constantly. Like it needs to be that smooth water for at least a short period of time.
Yeah, and we all know life happens on life's terms.
Yeah.
You're still going to have your ups
Oh,
and
it
downs.
still gets chaotic from time to
Yeah,
time.
but you're not going to be at the mountaintop or at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah,
you know
15
what I mean?
minutes.
Yeah, you'll have ups and downs, but you know how to deal with it. And changing my perspective on things, like the other day I was at the gym and this girl comes up to me, she goes, man, I had to come to the gym today, I had to work. And I was like, why don't you change one word in that sentence? She's like, what do you mean? I said, I get to come to the gym, I get to work. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, some people are not physically able to come to the gym and take care of themselves. Some people don't have jobs. They can't take care of their families. You get to do this stuff, so be grateful for what you can do. And she kind of just looked at me and like she didn't know what to say. I was like, change your perspective on everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What you got, Carly?
So you mentioned your greatest gift in recovery so far is getting that relationship with your daughter back. So what about your biggest accomplishment thus far in recovery?
Staying sober. Without sobriety, all the other stuff doesn't mean anything. Having another day of sobriety, having another chance at life is my biggest gift. Waking up in the morning is my biggest gift. Without sobriety, I have no family. I have no job. I have no home. I have no health. I have nothing. Having that lifted from me, having that ability to live my life in recovery is the greatest gift. Without that, I have nothing.
Yeah.
And nothing else matters at that point. You know, they say it's a selfless program, but it's kind of selfish. Because if you don't take care of yourself first,
you got to be selfish in order to be selfless.
Yeah.
Like, it has to go in a weird
it goes
order.
hand in hand.
Yeah.
It really does. But you know, sobriety's number one. That's the biggest gift. You know, and I truly do believe I've had that want to drink lifted from me because I haven't thought about it once. I've had some crazy ass drinking dreams.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That felt so real that I woke up disappointed in myself. I'm like, did I drink?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, cool. It was a dream. Oh my God. But it felt so real.
Yeah.
And like my mom was in it. My wife was in it. They're like, I can't believe you're drinking after all this time. I'm like, oh, I went a year. I'm fine. I can drink, you know. But it was a dream. You know what I mean? I woke up relieved that I didn't drink.
Yeah.
So I'm just so thankful. Sobriety is number one. Absolutely. And everything that comes after that is icing on the cake.
All right. So like one of the things that I've heard about and like experienced in recovery is addiction sort of stunts your growth as a person, like emotionally, mentally. So like when I was coming in at 25 and I'd been doing drugs since I was 11, I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like I just had very little maturity about me. And then in very short amount of time in recovery, you just like start growing. So how much growth have you done in like this past year compared to 27 of drinking and drugging?
Oh my God, it's night and day. I mean, it truly is. And you know, and I read something the other day, it takes like 18 months to 20 months for your brain to actually get rid of all the residual alcohol and drugs in it. So I'm still growing as far as that. But I mean, I still feel like I'm in my 20s, man.
You look like you're in your fucking
I
20s,
mean,
dude.
I try to act like I'm in my 20s.
You're 10 years older than me and you look better than I do.
I try, and maybe that gets me a little bit in trouble because I try to act a little bit younger than I am, but I think you're as old as you act. You're as old as you feel.
Yeah.
So but
I probably still act like an
I've definitely matured in my thinking process.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think the same.
Yeah.
Like, just this morning, my boss bought. I'm a contractor. I do plumbing, electrical, carpentry, all kind of stuff. And my boss happened to have this new diverter and stuff for my shower because I'm redoing my bathroom. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Well, I'll just give it to you. It's $90." He's like, "I have plenty of them." He goes, "I'll give it to you, and here's a receipt in case you don't like it. You can return it." And this morning I'm driving here. I had a thought, I could just return it and get the cash. Mm-hmm. Then my second thought was, well, I don't need it. I have money. Why would I do that? He gave it to me as a gift. Mm-hmm. I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Where, a year or two ago, I'm like, oh, dude, as soon as he gave it to him, I would have invited the depot with the receipt and got cash, and I would have went and bought drugs or alcohol with it.
Yep.
So my thought process has completely changed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The cool thing is my boss is actually in recovery.
Nice.
He's got 8 years.
Awesome.
And his office manager is his sponsor, and he's got 32 years. So I'm working with people in recovery, which is really cool because we're all like-minded individuals.
Mm-hmm. Dude, construction's a tough industry because using is rampant.
That's all I did, man. Mm-hmm. I would work hard and get off and literally stop at the liquor store on my way home.
Yeah.
And be drinking and driving on my way home.
Yep.
Because I had to have that liquor as soon as 3 o'clock came. 3:15, I was at the liquor store. Yep. Had a couple shots in me, opened a beer, and driving home. That was my everyday for years.
Yeah.
Every day. But no, just the way I process things, and I use the think method. Will this benefit me? Does this hinder me? Is it positive? Mm-hmm. That's the way I try to think about things. Yeah. I don't act on emotion.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not spontaneous.
Yeah.
I actually think before I act.
Absolutely.
Which I never did before. I was like, fuck it. I worry about the consequences when they come.
Yeah.
Now I actually think it through.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. The way it was taught to me is like when you're in addiction, or like you're reacting, and then when you're in recovery, you're responding. I was like, ooh.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, because a reaction is just boom, it's done.
Yeah.
A response, there's some thought, there's some actual like care taken into like the whole process leading into what just happened. Let me process it, and then let me respond appropriately. So,
I like that.
Yeah, I love that. You got any more?
Nope.
All right, man. Well, we would like to thank you for joining us today. Woo!
Thank you for having me. It was an honor to be here, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Man. And we want to give you a quick minute to talk to anybody out there who's struggling, needs to hear that message of hope. What do you have to say to them?
My biggest thing is, I gave up hope at one point, and it almost cost me my life. Mm-hmm. If you're struggling with addiction or mental illness, don't be ashamed of it. Ask for help. Don't give up hope. Know that you don't suffer alone. Know that there is help out there to help you recover, and you can change your life. And the life that's waiting for you is so amazing. It's beyond your wildest dreams. It's more than anything you could imagine. You couldn't have told me that a year ago, but I stuck with it. I put both feet in, and I did the work necessary. And now I'm living a life that I have so many things coming up that are already scheduled that it's amazing to me the gifts that I'm receiving in sobriety. So don't give up hope. Ask for help and go get the help needed to help change your life and save your life. Yeah. The help needed to save your life.
All right. Let people know where they can find you.
On Instagram at TLODGN at TLodgen. That's my main platform. I'm on Facebook, but it's more like friends and family. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but the Instagram is I post a lot of stuff about my workouts. I post a lot of stuff about inspirational videos and recovery based, information. So, find me at TLodgen on Instagram.
Cool. All right, man. Appreciate it again. And here at Podcast Recovery, we are aiming to expand the scope of support for recovering addicts. Accessibility and convenience of helpful services is paramount to combating addiction. We work to bring the message of recovery to every addict, wherever and whenever it is needed. We believe that a powerful voice of recovery should be attainable, practical, and at the touch of a button. Every addict deserves to hear a message of hope, and Podcast Recovery is here to provide it. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. Make sure you go to all our media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. Come, please be a part of the Podcast Recovery family. We are self-supporting and need help keeping the mics on, so become part of our Patreon. And most importantly, everybody out there,
stay safe and stay clean.